The skeleton coast of Namibia is one of the world's most foreboding yet fascinating natural landscapes, a region shrouded in mystique and defined by extremes. Known for its vast stretches of barren desert, desolate beaches littered with shipwrecks, and nearly constant fog, this coast has rightfully earned its ominous name. Stretching over 500 kilometers along Namibia's Atlantic coast, from the Angolan border in the north to the Swakop River in the south, it represents a unique confluence of natural forces where the scorching sands of the Namib Desert meet the frigid, tumultuous waves of the Atlantic Ocean. The Skeleton Coast is not just a desert or a coastline, but an enigmatic ecosystem that balances fragility and resilience in an environment hostile to nearly all life. The allure of the Skeleton Coast lies partly in its striking scenery and partly in its reputation as a graveyard of ships and the final resting place of those who dared to venture across its treacherous waters and unforgiving terrain. Numerous shipwrecks dot its shores, their rusted remains jutting out from the sand like skeletal fingers reaching toward the sky. Some of these vessels date back to the early 20th century, while others are much older, remnants of Portuguese and Dutch explorers who found themselves lost in the thick fog or driven by strong currents to a tragic fate on Namibia's dangerous shores. This fog, created by the cold Benguela current clashing with the desert's hot, dry air, serves as both a lifeline and a death sentence. For ships, it created an invisible barrier, hiding deadly rocks and shoals. But for the ecosystem, the fog is crucial, providing precious moisture that sustains both plant and animal life. The dense fog that rolls in almost daily acts as the Skeleton Coast's hidden oasis, a life-giving source in one of the driest places on Earth. It supports a variety of desert-adapted plants, animals, and even insects that have evolved to capture and conserve moisture in extraordinary ways. The fog beetle is one such creature, ingeniously adapted to survive the extreme environment by harvesting water from the fog that blankets the coastline. These beetles position themselves on dunes in the early morning hours, angling their bodies to collect moisture droplets from the fog on their backs, which then trickle down toward their mouths. This daily ritual exemplifies the astonishing adaptability of life on the Skeleton Coast, where every drop of water is a precious commodity. The plant life here is equally remarkable. The Welwitschia mirabilis, an ancient and hardy plant, has developed deep roots that allow it to capture moisture from groundwater reserves, while its long, leathery leaves absorb fog moisture. This plant can live for over 1,000 years, surviving on minimal resources and thriving in what would be inhospitable conditions for nearly any other species. The Welwitschia is not only a marvel of desert adaptation, but also a living fossil, a symbol of endurance on the Skeleton Coast, embodying the age-old struggle between life and the harsh desert. Perhaps the most surprising inhabitants of the Skeleton Coast are its animals, especially the Cape fur seals that gather in enormous colonies along the coastline. These seals find sustenance in the nutrient-rich waters brought in by the Benguela current, which supports large populations of fish and other marine life. Along certain stretches, the coastline is alive with thousands of seals, their barking calls filling the air and contrasting sharply with the otherwise silent, eerie landscape. The presence of these seals attracts predators, including one of the most unusual predators of this coastal desert, the brown hyena. Known for their shaggy coats and scavenging nature, brown hyenas are well adapted to the extreme conditions, capable of traveling long distances in search of food. These hyenas subsist largely on the remains of seals, which they scavenge from the coastline, demonstrating how life on the Skeleton Coast is intricately connected and interdependent, with each species playing a role in this delicate balance. The bird life on the Skeleton Coast is also noteworthy, adding a surprising layer of diversity to the barren landscape. The coastline and nearby desert are home to various seabirds and desert-adapted species. Gulls, pelicans, and cormorants are common sights near the shore, feeding on the abundant marine life supported by the Benguela Current. Inland, species like the desert lark and the graze lark showcase incredible adaptations to survive with minimal water. Some desert birds, such as the ostrich, have evolved to be highly efficient with water use, reducing activity during the hottest parts of the day to avoid dehydration. The presence of these birds also supports smaller predators and scavengers, creating a chain of life that thrives on the edge of survival. Human history along the Skeleton Coast is one of danger, resilience, and adaptation. Shipwrecked sailors who survived their vessel's destruction faced an almost impossible journey through the arid landscape with few resources to sustain them. Those who made it to shore found themselves in one of the most inhospitable places imaginable, with virtually no fresh water and minimal food sources. Indigenous peoples, such as the San and Himba, are among the only human groups that have been able to live in harmony with this environment. They possess an unparalleled understanding of desert survival, knowledge passed down through generations that allows them to find water, track animals, and make use of the sparse resources available. For the Himba, the Skeleton Coast holds cultural significance as well, representing both life and death in the harsh desert environment. They have mastered the art of living with nature's extremes, using plants and animal products for food, shelter, and medicine. Conservation efforts have turned much of the Skeleton Coast into a protected area, Skeleton Coast National Park, to preserve its unique ecosystem and protect it from human interference. The park is divided into two sections, the southern part, where some limited tourism is allowed, and the northern part, where access is heavily restricted to safeguard the delicate environment. Within the park, researchers monitor seal colonies, track brown hyena populations, and study the impact of climate change on this fragile ecosystem. Despite its isolation, the Skeleton Coast is affected by human activities such as climate change and pollution, and conservationists are working to ensure that its unique ecosystems continue to endure. Ecotourism is managed carefully to allow visitors to experience the eerie beauty of the Skeleton Coast without disturbing its pristine condition. Small, eco-friendly safari camps and guided tours provide an opportunity for adventurous travelers to witness this remarkable place while minimizing their environmental footprint. Visitors often describe the landscape as otherworldly, with its fog-laden dunes, skeletal shipwrecks, and diverse wildlife. There is a sense of stepping back in time, of seeing a part of the world that has been untouched and unchanged for centuries. This is the allure of the Skeleton Coast, a place that defies convention, a desert that teems with life, a coastline. In the end, the Skeleton Coast is a paradox, a place where life clings tenaciously to the fringes of existence, shaped by scarcity and adversity. It is a natural laboratory for adaptation, where fog sustains life, shipwrecks form new habitats, and the unforgiving landscape gives rise to some of the most unique survival strategies on Earth. The Skeleton Coast's stark beauty, dangerous allure, and resilient inhabitants make it one of the world's most captivating wildernesses, a testament to nature's power and adaptability.